In this video, I'm going to share with you what FICO is and the 5 major categories that make up your credit score. Stay tuned. My name is Brandon and I want to welcome you to my channel where I talk about faith, money, and business. If you're new to the channel, please take a moment to hit that subscribe button and notification bell so you can stay up to date with my latest content. Alright guys, let's get started. Okay, so what does FICO actually stand for? It's called Fair Isaac Company, and it was actually created in 1956 by two gentlemen named Bill Fair and Earl Isaac. Now the company didn't actually go public until about 1986, and they didn't actually release the credit score system until 1989. Now the credit score system was basically designed to help companies be able to determine somebody's credit worthiness, and it was based on 5 primary factors to determine that, which we'll discuss in a minute. Now there are 3 primary consumer reporting agencies in the United States, that being Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian. Those are probably some of the ones that you've definitely heard before. So let's go into what are those 5 factors that determine or make up your credit score. Okay, so what is the range of a credit score you can have? Well, the lowest is going to be 300 and the highest you can have as a credit score is 850. Now, the 5 factors that I'm about to give you that make up your credit score, just remember, this is for companies to have a system in place that shows how well do you interact with debt. So the first one is going to be payment history. Now, this is just how it sounds, like how well do you, are you always late on your payments, or are you always on time? If you're always late, you're always going to it's obviously going to affect your credit score in a negative way, because actually the payment history makes up 35% of your credit score. So if you're always missing payments, it's going to drastically hurt it. I mean, 35% is a huge percentage of your credit score. But if you're always on time with your payments, it's definitely going to be advantageous for you. All right, now let's talk about the second factor that helps make up your credit score, and it's called credit utilization. So credit utilization actually makes up 30% of your credit score. So as you can see, payment history was 35% of your credit score, and now credit utilization is 30%. We're already at 65% of what makes up your credit score. So these are really important. Now, credit utilization is basically of the available credit that has been given to you, what percentage of that are you using? I think the rule of thumb is to never use more than 20% of your available credit. Any more than that is going to have an adverse effect on your credit score, because companies are thinking, well, if you're always maxing it out or using a very large percentage of the credit available to you, then that doesn't look very good, because that shows that you're always needing to borrow, and you're probably going to borrow more. Now you would think that would probably be a good thing, right? That they want to give you more credit, right? But that doesn't necessarily show good signs, because it shows that you may be living beyond your means, and you might not be able to pay towards that credit that you're borrowing. Okay, so let's talk about the third factor that goes into what makes up your credit score. So number 3 is going to be length of credit history. Now, we probably all have heard this before, that the longer you have a line of credit open, the more advantageous it is towards your credit score. But why is that? Well, the reason is companies want to see historical data that shows your interaction with debt over a long period of time. It's kind of like saying, okay, well, I want to give this person credit, but how do we know they're going to be responsible with it? How do we know we're even going to get our money back for it? So they want to have a lot of historical data over a long period of time that shows that you are responsible with credit. You make your payments on time, and the length of history actually makes up 15% of your credit score. So it's not tremendously important, but it does carry a little bit of weight. So number 4 is actually going to be new lines of credit. Now I want you to be careful with this. It's not just about opening a ton of new credit cards, because that can actually have an adverse effect on your credit score, because companies could look at that and be like, oh wow, this person's probably in a lot of financial trouble, so let's look, we don't want to, that looks kind of bad, so they're gonna take away some of your credit score. That doesn't look good on you. So I think what the point is here is having new types of credit every now as needed. Kind of like you need new credit, how comfortable are you with opening a new line of credit and then being responsible with that. So it's not about quantity here, it's about as you need credit, that's when you would open up an account. They want to see that you're comfortable with interacting with credit. Now I forgot to mention, new credit actually makes up 10% of your credit score, so just a little bit lower than the length of history, but as you can see, it's starting to get, obviously as we get to 100%, it's starting to get less and less of a factor. Now number 5 is actually going to be a credit mix, and that makes up the last 10% of your credit score. So the credit mix is not just about having a bunch of new credit of the same credit. Companies want to see that you're comfortable with opening different types of credit, and that's going to help you in getting your credit score up. Now some other factors that kind of play into your credit score is your level of income, how long have you been employed, and the type of credit that you're requesting. Those are kind of the things that are going to play into your credit worthiness. But the 5 main categories are going to be, it's all how you interact with debt. But it makes sense to factor in income, because if you don't make a lot of income, obviously that would affect how much credit they can give you or think you can handle. Now companies don't necessarily always care how much you can handle, but they do care about, well, is this person going to actually be able to pay me? So they don't want to give you too much where you're not going to get their money back, and they don't want to give you too little because they're missing out on an opportunity to make a little bit of money off you. So just keep that in mind. Now you've probably thought this before, but so how long does it take for you to not have a credit score? Well, actually, if you have no activity, none whatsoever, all your credit cards are zero, you got no activity, well, if you don't have any activity for 6 months, or about 6 months or more, your credit line will disappear. Your credit score will disappear. You will be invisible as it relates to a credit score. So that can pose some follow-up questions to that we're about to dive into. So, do you have to have a credit score to survive? Now, some of you are like, hands down, yes. You cannot survive in this world today without a credit score. Well, I mean, according to 2015 and the Consumer Finance Protection Bureau, 26 million Americans do not have a credit score. They are credit invisible, right? So it definitely is possible to not have a credit score, but it doesn't mean that it's not going to have its challenges for sure. So what are the disadvantages to not having a credit score? So if you're a follower of Dave Ramsey, like I am, or whoever debt-free person that you're following or whatever, you probably have run across this question, or if somebody has thought about this at all when it comes to debt-free, you're thinking, well, if I don't have a credit score, how's that going to affect X, right? Well, let's talk about some common disadvantages. They're not impossible to overcome. They're just extra. There might be some extra hoops you have to jump over to be able to tackle some of these issues. So the first one is renting an apartment. This is going to be difficult because landlords kind of rely on credit scores. So you're going to have to prove to them in some way. I'm not saying I have solutions for all of these, so don't take on the answer of all questions. But you're going to have to prove to a landlord that, hey, like, you're debt free and you got plenty of cash to be able to pay your bills, like, which could probably take in the form of maybe utility bills that you have, like maybe your cell phone bill or your car insurance. Just showing them that you're always on time. Or just ask them, hey, well, I don't have a credit score, but, you know, how can I prove to you that I got money, basically, and I make my payments? Now, number 2 is going to be securing car insurance. Your credit score is not a factor in this, but your credit history is. So it kind of is a factor in a small sense. So you're going to have to show car insurance companies that, hey, like, I pay my bills. Just the same way with renting an apartment, you're going to have to show the insurance company that, hey, I pay my bills. You know, here's a utility bill or whatever you need to do. Now, another one is going to be getting a cell phone or establishing utility accounts. Can sometimes be a challenge, so you might consider that as well. Also, applying for a mortgage. This requires some legwork, and you may need to go the manual underwriting route, but you're going to have to prove that you have a payment history on non-credit accounts. So, you know, if you can show them something that shows that, hey, you're always on time paying this bill or whatever, then that could definitely help you. But I think most people go the manual underwriting route. A little more legwork, but it is definitely possible to not have a credit score and still survive in this world. I mean, 26 million Americans are doing it. I mean, they're got to be doing it somehow. They're not just all living on the street or not doing anything. So consider some of these challenges when you're becoming debt-free, or if you decide to ever become debt-free. But if you want to know the reasons why to become debt-free, check out my other videos. I have other videos talking about, you know, why not to have car payments, why 5 reasons to be debt-free. So go check those videos out. I think, and go check Dave Ramsey out himself and just kind of assess, what do you think about this whole debt-free thing? All right, well, that's all I have for you today. I hope you understand a little bit better about what is FICO and what are all the factors that kind of go into your credit score. Also, I gave you a little bit about the disadvantages of not having a credit score. But one thing I want to end on is, if you have ever thought about starting your own business, then I want to raise the excitement level a little bit, because in the next few weeks I'm going to be putting out video. I'm starting this series, and it's going to be starting your own business, and I'm going to be talking about the different types of business entities. So like sole proprietorship, limited liability company, partnerships, S corps, C corps. We're going to be talking just a tad bit about the tax implications in those. So if you have ever thought about starting your own business, which a lot of Americans are entrepreneurs, then you need to hit that subscribe button and notification bell and stay tuned, because that series is coming down the pipeline. So get pumped and ready for that. Coming up next is going to be QT with G. So if you don't know what that is, stay tuned next for that. But if you don't want to stick around for that, like I said, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you in the next video. Peace out. Alright guys, now it's time for QT with G, which stands for Quiet Time with God. So if you have your Bibles, go ahead and get those out, or you can just watch and I can do all the work, which is no problem. So in the last video, we were in John chapter 1. I think we did 1 through 4, and then we also threw in verse 14 as well. Well, today we're going to be reading a popular verse. It's John 3:16, but I also want to read all the way until John 3:21. So 16 through 21. And then I just want you to tell me in the comment section below what do you think this verse means to you. Just kind of start a conversation, I guess, in the comment section, and just kind of let us know. Or if you have any insights relating to this verse, definitely share them. All right, so John 3:16. For God so loved the world that he gave his only Son, that whoever believes in him should not perish, but have eternal life. For God did not send his Son into the world to condemn the world, but in order that the world might be saved through him. Whoever believes in him is not condemned, but whoever does not believe is condemned already, because he has not believed in the name of the only Son of God. And this is the judgment, that the light has come into the world, and people love the darkness rather than the light, because their words were evil. For everyone who does wicked things hates the light, and does not come to the light, lest his works should be exposed. But whoever does what is true comes to the light, so that it may be clearly seen that his works have been carried out in God. So I just wanted to read that full section. I don't know, most of us have heard John 3:16, but I just wanted to read that whole section. And I just want you guys to let me know in the comment section what you think. All right, guys, that's all I have for you today. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.